Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ganas and the Boys FFBE News. This week's episode will be for maintenance 8 that starts on 8/28. It actually hasn't started yet in time
We
for the recording.
wait, what? It hasn't started yet?
Nope, it is 2300 PDT. So
Huh,
to my time and I think your time as well, it doesn't start for another half hour.
huh. That's pretty cool then.
Yeah,
So it'll start
but
while we're doing this. Cool. Good stuff.
but it does go on until 5 a.m. our time, which is Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, but I
Uh,
mean, like, are you going to be like awake at that point in time?
I'm a gamer, so most likely, but
Yeah,
also
but
probably not.
I have work. I'm going to be dead and asleep
Oh yeah,
and
you
happy.
mean like how I fell asleep at 4 during the weekend and got up at 6. Enough about that. This is FFBE, not work. Come on.
Yes, exactly. You make a point. You make a point. So,
So August
let's see.
28th of the Wednesday, this will be for stuff that starts either Thursday the 29th or for the event that starts on the 29th. Um, there is a bit of stuff to talk about. I know we
Yeah.
did miss Kimono Fina last week, but that was something that just kind of sprung out of nowhere in between videos.
I
Uh,
mean, we can.
I
I can give a quick summary of Kimono Fina if you really want
well,
me to.
honestly, I think the best summary we can give is just she's strong. Get her
Yeah,
if you can.
yeah, and with the global upgrade they gave her, she's
Just,
dank. Dank.
just
Dank is the word we're using. Just
if
if you
if
can
you
get her,
want
you'll
a
be happy.
future-proof mage, get her, because
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter in
yeah.
the end of the day. Eventually, CG Terra comes out. Eventually, she'll just stomp other mages,
I mean,
except for Morgana, apparently.
from
So,
what I've heard, uh, unless the mages in the future get buffed, they won't actually be as good as Kimono Fina, or at least they will be on par with her.
yeah,
So,
I'm not surprised.
but they have been buffing both Lightning and Bards, I think, which we will get to.
No,
No?
no, he didn't get any. He doesn't
Oh,
need it. He's dude. If CG Bart's got, but let me put it this way: based on just like the way the JP players used him, if Bart's got buffed, he would be utterly broken.
well, I mean, with how they buffed Lightning, I would have expected at least something to power scale
Well,
it.
the difference is CG Lightning needed it. Bart's
Well, yeah,
does not need it
yeah,
at
we'll get to
all.
that. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, though, is Octopath Traveler is getting its highly difficult quest, the part 2, the week 2 stuff.
The Cave of
Uh,
Rio's Blotted Viper. In other words, we're wait a minute. The okay, so actually thinking about this, why is the event Ulbrich, Primrose, Therion, and Tressa when the Blotted Viper was Alphin's enemy?
I
He's
mean,
not even in this event.
is the Blooded Viper a memorable boss?
It's literally just the first boss of Alphin's story, kind of like how the Brigand was the first boss of Ulbrich's story.
Huh, weird. I mean,
Yeah, like I'm just surprised because I was if they were gonna do that, I would have expected them to do like Ulbrich and Alphin, but like if they were gonna do Primrose, Primrose has an enemy she fights in her story, so why not just fight
this
him?
could be a hint that they would like to do a part 2 to
I
this
would love it
event.
if they did a part two. Just make Alphen the 3-star because he's garbage.
Yeah, maybe they'll make him overpowered in our version of the game. Who knows?
Yeah,
Uh,
well, point being that the point remains it's going to be an interesting quest. It's probably going to do a whole, yeah, and it uses poison and paralysis. Basically, just bring your white mage that can remove those, and probably someone that can buff your resistances.
or just have all
And
of your units have poison paralysis resistance, because that's actually really
yeah,
easy to do.
yeah, and it seems like it does a lot of strong physical. So your best bet is probably an evade physical cover, or just like a strong physical tank, and then probably just use elemental resistances or general magic mitigation to deal with the magic.
That is true. And I also want to point out, I think I misspoke a little bit ago when I said that the event would start on the 29th. Friday is the 30th, not the 29th.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
take what I
definitely.
say as absolute truth.
Yeah, just well, let me put it this way: we still make mistakes. We're tired. It's after work.
Oh, I'm not
We're
tired. I
both.
just chugged coffee at
I am.
10:30 at night.
Yeah, yeah. It's like 10:30, dude. Come on now. Anyway, moving forward.
Yeah, the mission rewards. So, I feel like this is just a little bit lackluster. We're getting the 10,000 raid coins that we always get, the 2 rare summon tickets, and the 5% chest moogle. But this handkerchief is defense 18, spirit 22, HP 20%, and a 50% resistance to poison and disease. I'll be honest, even with a newer player who can just barely defeat this quest, probably has something better for poison and disease.
So,
Probably something
oh
they've already
no.
used.
Well,
The
no. Let me put it this way: as this isn't an item to be considered in terms of the passive effect. If you're using this, you're using it because you don't have good tank gear for tank accessory. By that I mean the HP 20% is the best stat on this thing.
Oh yeah, no, I
Um,
won't argue it. That's the other point I was
so
getting at. The HP 20% and the Spirit 22, those are the
yeah.
strongest stats, and those are the only things I care about on that. And those are probably the most newer player friendly thing. But for a lot of us, that's just
Well, I
another
mean,
item.
well, no, but even if you look at it from the perspective of, say, hey, this is gear that gives resistances. Most people at this point have a unit that gives those resistances in the form of a buff. So be that, your Folkas, your Sylvies. The point that I'm making is just that there's a variety of units that already do this and pretty much don't force you to use a equipment slot to do it.
Yeah,
That's why I think this item, in terms of what it could have been, is a little bit disappointing. But I also understand that it's from a free quest, and crossover gear has never really been the best.
yeah.
Like there are a couple of exceptions, mostly in the form of elemental weapons, but generally speaking, the majority of them are kind of
Lackluster.
yeah.
That being said, though, uh, if you are lacking on good Spirit or HP equipments, this is a good one. With everything I've said bad about it, this isn't a bad item.
Oh no,
Spirit
that's exactly
22,
what we were
HP
saying.
20%, that is very helpful for people who, let's say, only have 10% HP items. Well, there you
No,
go. There's
exactly.
another 20%. There's another 10% for you.
Yeah, but that's kind of what we were saying. It's not like this is awful. It's
Yeah,
not awful by a long shot. It's still very good. It's just that I feel, and we both I think feel, this could have been a little bit better. You know,
yeah,
I just think it could have been a little bit better. It's very good. It's very useful, especially for the newer crowd. But I think it could have been a little bit better. I
yeah,
think at that point, if you were going to do resistances, and at this point rather, you need to do they need to make it so that there's more, because two resistances to two of the, in my opinion, least used status ailments that we face. I would much rather that be like, if you're gonna do it, spread it to all of them and make it 50%. That
yeah.
would be a lot better.
And of course, get the help of Olberic, Brimrose, and other memorable characters from Octopath Traveler to clear the event. Honestly, Olberic is probably the only one you'll use.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know how whether people are using Primrose much or not, but
But at the same
it's not too.
time, the other thing I'll say is forget those characters. Just use the meta characters you have if you have them. If you
Yeah.
have these guys, sure, go ahead. They're just not going to give you anything other than
Besides,
nostalgia.
yeah, and though that said, I can admit, next month or whenever the next FF5 update banner comes up, Ulbrich will probably be replaced by Galoof for most people. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's something definitely to consider, but it's definitely like not uh, a game breaker if you don't have it.
Yeah. Now, the news that everyone's excited for, a lot of people probably already know at this point, Final Fantasy V, by the way, is here in terms
Finally,
of Warrior of Light Bartz, Warrior of Light Lena, Atli. and Tessin. Now, Atli and Tessin, they're both good units, but they aren't the eyes. They're not the prizes for your eyes. Warrior of Light Lena and Warrior of Light Bartz are. Lena, because she's a very strong healer, based on information from JP and what we kind of got from the video from Gumi a couple days ago.
Yeah,
Lena's
well, we
going to be very
can,
good.
yeah, we can completely base Lena's kit off of her JP side kit because they have not announced any global exclusive upgrades. Not that she needed them because she's
Yeah,
absolutely a monster.
and
So this oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
and of course, Warrior of Light Bartz is the one we've all been waiting for. The next CG unit. He is very good. He was very good. I think without. I don't think. Yeah, he didn't get any global upgrades, but from what I remember, he was
He
still
out
very
damages.
good.
He out damages Esther. To give everyone a sense of what makes CG Bartz so good, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff he gets in JP, namely the things that we'll probably see. Well, two things that we see as part of his series boss battle, which for us will be enlightenment points, um, and something that he just has in his normal kit. To
Yeah,
start with, I'm going to talk about the two he gets from a series boss battle, which from his cooldown, he gains a cooldown ability that gives him a quad 9 turn 200 damage modifier to most of his skills, or at least to most of his damaging skills. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you consider the fact that it's pretty much an undispellable buff that increases his damage with all of the other stuff he gets, namely the fact that as his other unlock for it is 50% LB rate and 1.3 times LB damage, that's a pretty good deal.
yeah.
But that's not the thing that most people look at when they look at CG Bartz and they're like, yes, this unit is ridiculous. What they look at is job level up, level 2. A skill he gets at level 100, 6 star, at 6 star, level 100, along with his dual cast. The skill is a 120% attack magic buff and a permanent 300 damage modifier to all of his chaining moves, just like his cooldown, as well as unlocking the skill Job Level Up level 3 for one use. What that ability does is it gives him a 150 attack all stat buff, and then buffs all of his moves by a 400 damage modifier on top of the fact that these stack.
Now, when you say 400 damage modifier, are you saying 400% or 400 times? Because remember, it
Oh,
is
400%.
there you go,
400% to the
which
modifier.
is a 4 times when we talk about global, because global likes to use 4 times, whereas JP just said
Yeah.
400%.
Essentially, it's using percents versus the decimals as they would be.
Yeah.
But then you get to job level up, job master 3 star. It's a 200 attack, 200% all stat buff, and a permanent 500 damage modifier to all of his skills. Again, I want to emphasize the fact that these are pretty much permanent buffs until he dies, and B, stacking. That means in in about 4 skills, he gets a 200, then a 300 for 500 off rip. His max gives him another 500, and then 400. That is basically 15 times modifiers to all of his damage, all of his chaining skills, along with the fact that at level 120, he gains a 150% damage modifier to those same skills.
Now, because I don't actually have these on the screen, because we didn't converse
Yeah,
about this beforehand.
yeah,
Now,
yeah. No,
so are these skills that do this, are these auto cast at the beginning of the battle, or are they auto
no.
casted one at a
Yo,
time?
this is the one. It's the one drawback that a lot of people talk about when using CG Barts, but it's not really one when you think about it in the long run. These skills you have to use yourself.
Okay,
Um,
so that
e-
was 3 skills that you talked about, which means that he
four. There's
four
four
skills.
skills.
So he doesn't
Yeah.
actually get to deal damage until turn 5.
In most cases, yes.
if you want to
Um,
stack all this.
if you want to stack all of them. However, you don't. However, realistically, you don't actually need his series boss battle cooldown. It's only 200%.
Okay.
So generally speaking, you can be ready um from turn 3 or 4. The one downside, however, is that his moves do require stacking. A couple of them do. Namely, his one of the big moves is um Zengiri. I don't know what the actual full translation is, but I'll try and see what it is. It is Gladiator Zengiri in Japan. It is a 250% AoE graviton cannon with a 50 with that increases its modifier by 50% with each use. So when you think about what that is, that means that it's it's a very slow ramp up when you use it, but it maxes out at 1000% before Bartz's buffs.
Yeah.
So that means that's a total of about a 2.25 times or more with his full buffs at max stack. He self imbues, he self imperils. I mean, and by that I mean this is all embedded in his kit. And the other thing to point out is his LB, which at maximum level, 7-star, is a 2,170% modifier AoE hit that will automatically fill his LB to full. Or at least it fills between 1 and full in the next turn.
Which is pretty
Which
powerful.
basically, because it basically means if you're lucky, he can use it once or twice in a row. And it adds further buffs to some of his skills. What helps though is the fact that he has a bunch of LB fill rate in Trust, and he starts the battle with a full LB gauge, just like CG Lightning.
Which is actually something that they are going to continue, if memory serves correctly, for all CG/FF main series characters.
Correct.
So Warrior of Light, Cecil, Terra, Bartz,
All of them start with a full
Lightning,
LB gauge at the beginning of battle.
Onion Knight, and in the future there's also Titus, which I think was already released in JP. We will
That's
soon be
correct.
getting Cloud, Squall, Zidane. I was actually already released in JP.
Yeah, Zidane just got released in JP, I believe, or at least no, the most recent banner was FF10 2, I believe. But the
Yeah, that
point
was
is,
Titus,
he was
but
yeah he that was the most recent
it was Zidane and then Titus, I
one.
believe.
Yeah, something
Cecil,
like that.
Zidane, Titus, and I think Yishatol was released.
Yeah, she was a free unit.
Yeah, she was just a hey. By the way, we're doing this just because we kind of feel obligated to here have the free
Well, I
unit.
mean,
But Final
well,
Fantasy X.
actually, though, she was actually probably one. I think from what I remember, she was actually one of the better free. So anyway, continuing though, we shouldn't talk too much about that. We should talk about Lena because this is
And
the one a lot of people want.
at the same time, though, with as much emphasis that we put onto Bart's, a lot of that you could have kind of mushed it down to was he self imperils. Well, he self imbues. He does a lot of imbarrels. He does a lot of
And he
self buffs,
stacks.
and he has
Yeah.
a consecutive use modifier attack, which is something that we are used to from Axstar, Xeno, and a lot of other units that we have been enjoying playing with already. So he doesn't have a lot of new stuff, but he uses them to his maximum potential.
I want to
And
say that he uses everything in his kit to the maximum potential that any unit can probably use them,
yeah,
which is saying something because I really think that as far as unit design goes, personal opinion, CG Bartz is one of, if not the best designed unit in all of FFBE.
yeah. And before we
No
move on
contest.
to Lena, I'm just gonna scroll down here. I've just been having the step up banner up so that people can look at that. We don't really have to talk about that because we all know what it is. Same thing as it usually is. Once again, 140 summon coins to get a prism, which you have to do the step up twice. So 2 laps, you get a prism. but that's 2 guaranteed units, uh, as well as 2 guaranteed rainbows. So take what you can. But with Bart's, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about his Trust Mastery rewards. Uh,
Yes.
his regular Trust Mastery, Hermes Sandals, Final Fantasy V, it's going to be an accessory that gives 40 attack, which is not bad. It's not 45 or even 60 like we're used to for Super TMRs, but those are Super TMRs. We do have
Yeah,
some
but
TMRs that give 45, but that's not really where we're going with this, because this is going to be basically a carbon copy of a lot of the Martial gloves that we've been getting for True Double Hand, but for True
it's
Dual
literally
Wield.
martial glove. Yeah, it's
Yes.
literally the true dual wield martial glove.
So
The
it
effect on it, on the
it
passive, I know it just said, oh, do you mind if do you want to say it? Because
yes. You
go
you
ahead, go ahead.
you rambled on the abilities. I got to talk about the Trust Masteries
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
because
Go
that's
ahead.
what's on my screen.
Go.
So having this equipped enables Traveler's Progression, which boosts equipment attack when armed with 2 one-handed weapons, which, if we follow JP, which nothing's getting changed, so it should be 50%, which,
Mhm.
thank God I don't have to stack 2 colorful lays, as well as filling LB gauge every turn. And I want to say that's 1 to 2 per turn?
It's two. Two per
It's 2?
turn.
Okay, so that's
Two.
2 LB crisps per turn. You get 50% true dual wield if you have 2 weapons, which you should, and plus 40 flat attack, which is really good. And if you happen to get a Super Trust Mastery, that's going to be 167 attack, which is a little bit less than Omega Weapon from uh, Lightning, regular Lightning, but it does give you a wind element. So it is a wind elemental weapon, which is where that little less attack is good, because I believe, if I remember correctly, some of Bart's moves, like his best moves, don't imbue.
Yes, his imbue is just like a move in his kit. It is a chaining move, but it's a good move. It's just not one of his best
Yeah,
moves.
it's not the one you want to be using. So if you get his Trustmaster reward, give it to him. You'll be wasting a lot more turns on setup, and you'll be able to get right to his damaging moves. His sandals will help you get to his LB. You can get that flashy scene going as often as you can. Obviously, featured abilities. I'm pretty sure he talked about these, but in case he hasn't, they are there. We're not going to go too in depth into them right now. If you want to pause and read them
Not
up, you
again.
can.
Not
But
again, at least.
you have probably already read these on your own game. The data mine should be out at some point. There should be a
Oh, but
video
we
coming
already know
Friday.
them.
Well,
We
yeah,
already know the modifiers and everything, so we could talk about it on the video Friday.
yeah. On Friday we'll get a video going talking about the units. But for right now, just on Warrior of Light, this is definitely a banner you would want to get your hands on if you don't have Esther, if you don't have Elena, if you don't have Xeno, if you don't have CG Lightning, and you have
Or if you
tickets or
don't
lapis to spend,
necessarily have the gear.
go for it.
Yeah.
If you don't have the gear, definitely try to get at least one of him for that Trust Master reward. Even if you have the other units I just mentioned, this is a very good Trust Mastery to get. At least get
Yeah.
one, or if you've got a Prism, get the Moogle from the shop. But he
Agreed.
isn't the only unit on this banner. He's not the only 5-star as we saw. Up
Oh
here on the
no.
banner, we also have Warrior of Light Lena, which is, I'm just going to say it right now, definitely a reason to summon on this banner. Ginsu, I know you probably have it open. Why don't we talk about it? Try to
I do.
try to contain it
So,
this time though.
yeah. So the big thing to talk about here is that you all remember Aerith, I assume, right? Well, take Aerith, put her on steroids, and then you pretty much just have then you have Warrior of Light Lena. The big moves to point out is the fact that she comes equipped with, from her series boss battle or enlightenment points in this case, uh, an AoE, a 9-turn cooldown skill available immediately from turn 1 that is 200% spirit buff and 30% magic reduction to the whole team. She has innate resistances to a lot of elements, and her MP costs get reduced by 20% from, again, her Enlightenment Point skill. So one of the things to notice is that she has Entrust Kai, which lets her give her LB to a turn, and then she gets back some LB points. In fact, a lot of her skills seem to give her a little bit of LB as far as the 5-star stuff goes. The big thing to point out is that she does have a whole lot of AoEs and buffs that are very useful, like her 5-star 56 cures all ailments and provides damage reduction 30%. She has a single target 100% recovery that removes all stat debuffs and stop and charm. But I would say that the big things that a lot of people will be looking for her will be her 5-turn all ailment resist, with next turn having a big heal and a 100% attack, charm, defense, magic, spirit, stop debuff, with the next turn being an MP recovery. Basically, basically Folka with side effects.
That's
She
pretty good.
also has an AoE revive that gives herself a 20% re-raise. She can dual cast and triple cast. She can dual cast her abilities and then triple cast normal white magic. She's immune to stop with her TMR. And generally speaking, none of that is why you want her. I know I just went on about that, but the biggest thing about her is, or one of the biggest things about her is her LB. Her LB is super cheap at a 27 cost, is a AoE 79% HP recovery that removes all stat-based debuffs, and is an AoE 4-turn auto revive at full HP. In short, it is a reset button. And that's one of the big reasons that people love her so much. It is basically like a new age version of Ayaka's LB, except she can just block everything before it can hit you on the first turn, and then she'll cast that, and pretty much you can have that as a get out of jail button. Super useful, super strong, and I didn't even get to it, but pretty much the other big thing about her is that she does have some spirit-based damage. Really strong. Yeah.
And I know I've had it on screen for a while, but I'm just gonna voice this out for those of you that are just listening. Her Trust Mastery is a 50% Spirit boost, which is very strong, very similar to Aerith's, which is also 50% Spirit boost, whereas Aerith's is 50% Spirit and a LB boost, which is 2 crisps per turn. Warrior of Light Lena's is 50% Spirit and boosts restoration amount of certain white magic. Ginsu, do you have information as to which white magic this could be, based on JP?
Cure, the Cure series, including Curaga and Curaja, and Regen.
Alright, and those are actually very
And
powerful
is
abilities
100,
already.
but however, it is only a 100% modifier increase, so don't be expecting it to be some insane, oh my god, it's a million damage increase. No,
Well,
it's only 100%, which is still a lot,
that being said, though,
but
it definitely seems like it's a less powerful version of Barbarisha's Super TMR, but remember this is a TMR, not a Super TMR, and you're going to want this mainly for the cure bonuses, because that's an extra amount of health that you're curing that you get for free. Yes, it's not a
yes,
lot, but it is something.
agreed.
Her Super Trust Mastery, however, is really good. Attack plus 60,
Extremely.
Spirit plus 163, Spirit plus 30, and Light Elemental. It also enables Dispelga, which is a good addition to her kit, but I also wanted to point out the Light Elemental for the staff works really well with the reward that we're going to be getting from Morgana when we get her, because
Mm,
healing takes magic and spirit. Lena, if I remember correctly, you should be able to spirit cap her very easily.
yeah.
So giving her a plus 80% magic if equipped with a light elemental weapon gives you that extra boost to the healing. Yes, it doesn't give you much because healing doesn't take as much from healing, but the more magic you have, the more of a boost there is. So again, like her Trust Mastery reward, yes, it's not a lot, but it is free healing. And
Hmm.
sure, you may want to fill that slot with something a little bit better, like maybe Esper stat increase. But me personally, if I get Elena, if I have a Super Trust Mastery, and I have the ability from Morgana, I'm going to give her that plus 80 magic, because I don't have a lot of mages that are going to be equipping Light Elemental rods, and I've got a lot of healers that equip Light Elemental staffs. This is going to be helpful. It's definitely a strategy that, or synergy rather, that not a lot of people really think about. Not a lot of people remember that the magic stat is also calculated for healing. If your spirit's all stacked up and you would heal for more insane healing, add some magic to it. It'll go a long way. Uh,
He's not wrong. Not
and
wrong.
again, here's the abilities. We've talked about those. Atlee, 4 to 6 star unit. There does I'm if I'm just gonna go off on this. There's not a lot of her kit that you could find useful unless there are some 4 star base unit trials in the future. I know they talked about it. I don't know whether or not that's been implemented in JP or not, but when it
They
comes,
were, but they were, but being honest, none of them were hard. Because the thing is, when they released, all anyone did with them was just use 4-star units, and then like give them their best TMRs that they had. So in reality, the 4-star trials are more of a joke and more of just a thing for players to say like, "Hey, we can do these too,"
yeah,
than to really consider them actual like things. In reality, the best part about it is a TMR being a wind elemental sword, 125 attack. It's a very good sword. Like
definitely. If you
just
can't
considering.
get yeah, if you can't get Bartz's STMR, go for this.
Hmm.
And when 4 stars are relevant, we will talk about that. We'll talk about the units that are good, but this seems to be a unit that deals a lot of wind damage and boosts physical damage against avian monsters, as we see. Maybe she'll have others, but really all we're seeing here is likes to deal wind damage, which
Yeah,
honestly we already have a lot of 4 star units that do that. So
yeah,
only thing I'm really seeing here is Air Tempest is a really good trust mastery.
yeah,
As far as Tessin,
and not really much about in general for this unit.
he's a 3 star. He's got
That's about it.
30% attack if equipped with clothes.
And let's move forward.
Yeah, honestly. These are not
So
limited. They will be added to the EX and 10 plus 1 ticket pools without any increase in drop rates, so you can get them from EX and 10 plus 1s. Uh,
and the most important thing is you can UOC CG Barks after 2 weeks, as well
and
as
War of
CG
Light Lena.
Lena. Yeah, I really do suggest, as on a personal level, that you get at least one Bartz, or at least his
Oh,
TMR.
yes.
His TMR is very good. It's
Now,
like it's just very good,
there
basically.
is actually a side note on here now. A lot of you have probably noticed that the CG movie, which by the way we will link a video in the description. That way you guys can see it if you haven't already. We will link it in, which will give the credit. I won't show it on our video because it's not technically something I really want to be doing here. Um, but I will definitely recommend to go watch that if you want to. There is, which we
It
will
looks
talk about in a
dope,
bit.
honestly.
Or at least I don't think. Well, yeah, there is a intro quest like there always is for CG units, so there will be a chance for you to see that CG movie without actually having to have the physical unit. Now,
Hmm.
a lot of you noticed he uses the main weapons from a lot of protagonists in the other series, which, as this side note all the way down at the bottom of this piece of news states, Warrior of Light Bartz's CG character uses the same model from the Dissidia Final Fantasy. So they're using I believe the limit burst from the Dissidia, or at least it's referenced from the Dissidia version of his limit burst, which, if I remember correctly, does show him using all of the weapons because it's kind of Dissidia's whole theme of all of the units together,
Hmm.
kind of, in a
No,
sense.
no, I believe you're correct.
But that's actually just a really interesting thing. I see that they've put up there, they made it aware that, hey, this is what we modeled this after. That's why it's like this. But definitely moving on from here, we have the event. Castle X Death. This is going to be a farming event. We will be able to get the 5-star summon select ticket. Uh, will go on from the 30th of August to the 13th of September, and the claim period will be until the 20th of September with the same start date. The rewards for each quest is basically the same. Rare summon ticket, 200 dragon grass, 300 dragon grass, 500 dragon grass, 500 lapis, and then 5,000 dragon grass. Dragon grass being the material that we will be using to exchange for items, which
Yeah.
will be the Staff of Light and Ancient Sword, which is a staff with attack 9, spirit 78, light elemental, enable holy, which we all know what holy does, so not a bad staff. Definitely a very newer player friendly item. And if you
Hmm.
aren't a newer player, definitely want to grab hold of this. It's very useful, especially if you can't quite get these Lenus STMR. This is a good light elemental staff to use the synergy that I talked
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah, and consider all things considered, it still has a pretty decent stat line
Oh, it
for
does.
being just like a free staff from farming. And then we have the Ancient Sword, which enables Old, which is a full break on one target. I don't remember the percentage, but I think it's probably less than the modern breaker. It's probably only going to be a 45% break, if I'm correct. But if your main focus for using something like this is on just like having a break rather than on having a big break, is a very useful tool to have as long as the break is decent,
Yeah. And I will say, Ancient Sword for newer players, this is a must grab. 103 attack is really powerful for an account that is just starting. And it
Hmm.
doesn't matter what the percentage those breaks are, so long as it's over 40, it's going to be good for a starting player.
Hmm.
And speaking of newer players, that's where these abilities are focused towards. I know I used so many of these when I started out playing. Castle X Death Storm In will be HP and defense boost by 10%. Castle X Death Illusion of Perception will be HP and spirit by 10%. Definitely good survivability ones. You're going to want to grab these if you are lacking these ability types, if you're still new to the game. Even if you aren't quite new but are still lacking in abilities, definitely grab them. They will help you. I know it's 10%, but 10% will go a long way.
Especially as you're waiting to get better stuff, they're good interim.
Yeah. And of course,
So,
we can get a 5-star summon select ticket, which I know I'm saying it wrong. I will say it wrong every time. In fact, I will probably say it differently every time as well. But this will most likely be expensive. Of course, we'll get all of our regular tickets to 4-star guaranteed, the rare summon tickets, enlightenment keys, which I ignored last time. If you need them, go ahead, go for them. I, for one, don't think there's something you want to rush for because they're too pricey in my opinion. And of course, the trust moogles. Definitely get those if you
yeah.
want them. Don't farm for them unless you absolutely need them. I would definitely say focus on awakening materials, cactars, and the tickets. Those are the three you want to focus on.
Yeah. Like I said though, unless you get something like CG Bards and Lena, because they kind of do want their series boss battle passives. Of course, I don't think those are going to be out yet, so it might be good to just like stock up on them. Or actually, no, the boss battle is going to be out with
Yes,
this,
which I
but
believe is our next topic. So,
oh, even better. And
uh,
then as you were.
so the enemies will be the Black Warlock, the Golden Bomb. We know how that works. Definitely Man Eater against Black Warlocks, Demon Killer against the Golden Bombs. You know how it goes. Bonus units will be the units from the banner, with 50% from the 3-star, 75 from the 4-star, 100 from the 5-star, and if you can summon star them, 200%. We know how that works. Nothing special. Get stuff. And of course, don't forget, guaranteed 5-star special summon. You can only use these tickets during the summon period, which is the same as the event period. Get this ticket. I think this should be the first thing you farm towards. Use it, get that 5-star unit. It's basically free. King's Mog's Lost Maps. Obviously, we know how this works by now. We have a random chance of getting them dropped. You can also purchase them through the King Mog uh, exchange screen. If you need Gil, Experience, Mats, any of these maps are useful, except for the Star Quartz. Don't use the Star Quartz.
Well, I mean, if you get them, you might as well use them.
I haven't used a
Especially,
single
well,
one.
for the relative, yeah, but for the relatively newer players, think about how annoying finding Star Quartz is. So, and there's some good stuff from Star Quartz. So, at the very least, if you don't have everything the Star Quartz stuff that you do want, it is good to at least keep in mind that the Star Quartz maps are at least good for something. Not something that you should farm for specifically. I definitely think you should not farm for them specifically. But if you like get a ton of them and you do know like, hey, I still need to get, something from the Star Quartz, then at the very least, like, keep it in mind
Yeah.
that it's there.
But moving on, this is generally stuff that we already know how it works. We just don't know the skins. Uh, Series boss battles. Neo X Death will be available after maintenance on the 29th, so it'll actually be available before the units are available, which is interesting, I will say.
A little bit.
I will say his sprite is interesting.
No, I like it, honestly. I think it's supposed to be I think it is actually how Neo X Death looks in the game. Of course, that's because he goes from a tree to a man to whatever the hell this is.
Yeah.
But so the things to keep in mind is that he does do a whole lot of physical and magical attacks, so you'll probably want to keep buffs and mitigation up. Fortunately, if you're bringing along Lena, well, after she's released, she can provide magic and general mitigation, so she'll be very useful for this. And the thing about this fight is that you have a limit. Essentially you have a time limit. If you don't kill him in a certain amount of turns, he will instant KO you in a fashion very similar to um, the the moose trial, Eliphacaris. You really want to kill him quickly, or at least if you are going to hit him for a long period of time, you want to hit him hard every turn as much as possible. He also does a lot of status ailments, so bringing units that can nullify those and always making sure that that's happening is something that's going to be very important. The mission rewards pretty basic: 100 lapis for clearing, dealing wind and dark damage twice or more to an enemy. You get 2 silver keys. Feeding him with a limit burst gets you a gold key, and clearing the fight within 20 turns, which I believe is the time limit you have until the instant KO move, you get 1,000 lapis.
Which I will say these are good units, especially with how the EP system is for now. This is how I would have wanted it to be seen. Obviously, the Diamond Enlightenment keys are pay to get, although we have only ever gotten 2 free ones, and that's it, so we'll see. But in terms of rewards, this is about what I expected. It's you defeat it, you get some EP, you awaken stuff. Now, if you bring Warrior of Light Bartz and Warrior of Light Lena, obviously, those will have latent abilities. You can unlock them with the Enlightenment points. We won't be able to do that until they're released the next day following. And of course, if you decide to do this late, you can use Warrior of Light's Bart's Lena and Warrior of Light Lena, Lena and Bart's Warrior of Light version on Friday. But if you want to do it tomorrow or today, depending on when I upload this video, probably by today when you watch it, you can use Gilgamesh, 3-star Bartz, 3-star X Death, Sildra, Lena, Galuf, and what's her face chick that gives you the
Creel.
Thundaga. Yeah,
Well,
I've
I mean, don't count out Galuf and Creel. because one of the next banners we should be getting is going to be their update banner, and let me tell you, they can be pretty good, especially Galoob,
Yeah,
from what I remember.
but you'll get a 100% bonus from using those units. Honestly, just I'd wait until Bart's and Lena comes out, I guess. But you don't have to use them. So there's that. Um, I suppose we can move on. This is the part
And
I'm
then,
excited about. This is the part that I have been waiting for. The ability awakening update for the Sworn 6 Unmasked. Reagan, Citra, Ignacio, Volca, Sid, and Sagard. Now, we only have information for Reagan, Citra, and Volca, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. I wanted to see some information about Sid and Sagard, but
would you like me to pull it up?
well,
Because I can pull it up real quick.
it's fine. I can show the information that we got in news, and we can wait until we see what's going on with the other three uh, when they're released, because we don't know what exactly they could be doing with these. They could be different. They could not be. They don't usually
Mhm.
say.
No,
Um,
you are correct. I'm curious, so I'm going to check
yeah.
to see
Now,
what they're doing, what they did to Reagan.
these will be available after maintenance. So once maintenance is over, 5 a.m. my time, PDT, you will get these. So by the time you've watched this, you'll already either already have awakened to these, or you're going to about to be. Um, so Reagan, his Octostrike Blade will be available. If you awaken at +1, you'll get 450% damage. Awaken +2, you'll get 600%. Kingdom's Hero, maxed, you will get a 60% equipment attack boost when dual wielding, I believe. The LB effects will be changed. It adds effects of boosting damage of certain abilities. Blades of Azure Crimson, the damage at +2 will be increased to 1,000% or 10 times. Boosts fire and ice resistance reductions to 100%, and boosts turns in effect by 5 turns. That I'm actually
Okay.
really excited for, because 5 turn 100% in peril for fire and ice is really good. Uh, and 10 times damage right off the bat, I like it. Forsaken Armor, just 50% attack at +2, really good. And then
Yeah.
Azure Flame Edge and Crimson Frost Edge, if I remember correctly, are those are his cooldown abilities. Both of them, with Azure Flame being fire and Crimson Frost being ice, boost the resistance reduction to 110%. It changes it to deal fire and ice damage respectively. It changes to reduce fire or ice resistance respectively first before dealing its respective damage. Changes the availability of first use from turn 4 to 1, and increases the MP consumed by to
Okay.
120. So honestly, these cooldown abilities, in my opinion, are better than they were before the ability awakening. First turn
So
use, 110% debuff, changes it so that it deals what it imperils. A little disappointing that it is 120 MP, but that should be fine.
it's a 10 MP increase.
10.
Or no, it's like a 21 MP increase. It's really not that significant. But the one thing I do want to point out that I just checked, these are changed from the JP edition.
Oh,
The big things that I want to point out, namely, are Kingdom's Hero. The boost equipment attack increase was only 10% in JP. They've increased that to 60, giving him what I believe is a total of 120% when dual wielding. With no 60, I don't see any others really. No, he has 100% base with his enhancement. Yeah. So 100% base because of his trust ability.
because
The
his
other thing I
stress
want to
ability
point
is
out is
40%, and this would be 60% total of 100, right?
yes.
Okay.
So Blades of Azure Crimson, that is a 300% increase over the JP version. It did not get its R+2 or R+1 rather is its +2.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be even stronger for
Which,
us.
if from what I'm looking at, is the same for Kingdom's Hero because our +1 was just the boost equipment attack when armed to one-handed weapons by 10%.
Well, no. Everything was the same with Kingdom's Hero. The only difference was the equipment attack. The LB increase still happened.
Okay.
So, but the big thing that I want to point out is that the Azure Flame Edge and Crimson Frost Edge, those enhancements didn't happen at all in JP.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so in JP, those are still non-elemental attacks. Though this really changes the game for them, I think, because making them 110 element reductions, giving them to us on the first turn, and making them imperil before dealing the damage,
That's really good.
while also changing the element of the damage, makes these two skills actually very usable. These will probably be required in rotations from now on, based on the move. If you decide to no, I have to say, all of those abilities except for Octo Strike Blade, in my opinion, you can kind of skip over that one.
Yeah,
But
not a
other
lot
than
of.
Octo Strike, well, no, actually, never mind. You can't really skip it. It's his
That's the AT one, isn't it?
yeah,
And Blades of Azure Crimson is still DR, and if I remember correctly, Azure Flame Edge is
correct,
DR, but Crimson Frost Edge should be AT.
correct.
Okay.
So at the very least, you will have to enhance pretty much everything. But these enhancements, and I'm just looking at Reagan, I haven't pulled up Citra's. Um, I can tell you right now, these units are amazing.
Yeah, I from what I'm
Or at
seeing from
least they,
Reagan, I absolutely like it. I actually finally pulled my second one quite a while ago, and I've been holding off because I didn't want to waste my gil on him. I I'm a skill spender. I don't have a lot. Um, but seeing this, I might 7-star him because he seems really good, especially with um, Roberta actually having DR frame moves, and those moves are really good, I will say. I mean, 24 times modifier for a DR chaining move?
yeah, no, I think that it's amazing, and I think that with the changes, it just helps Roberta even more.
Oh, yeah,
Even though she's meant to be a jump, I do remember hearing something about her being a little bugged right now.
which is
But
unfortunate, but we will see. Like, I think one of her moves still says it's an Octostrike chaining move, but it chains with AT.
mm, yeah,
At
generally
least it does for
speaking,
me.
still very good.
Oh, yeah. Now, Citra, I honestly kind of skipped over this one, but her Light of Ruin at +2 boosts the damage amount to uh, 35 times and reduces evocation gauge consumed by 2, or 2 rather, which is, it seems pretty powerful. Holy Mind boosts damage amount to 11 times and boosts evocation gauge increase from 3 to 5 to 4 to 5, which from +0 to +2 would be 2 to 4 to 4 to 5. Evocation Fierce Light of Supremacy at +2 boosts damage amount to 40 times, reduces cooldown time to 1 use every 4 turns, and reduces evocation gauge consumed to 4, which also seems really nice.
Especially because when you consider the skills that they enhanced and and the reductions that they gave them, the reason that these reductions to Citra skills are actually pretty impactful is because before you really couldn't cast too many of them in one turn. If you did, uh, they just became hassles. It was more like they were holding you back than actually being helpful.
Yeah.
So these changes that they've given us so far seem to be significantly better than JP, and I did decide to pull it up to cover the one thing. Holy Mind is an increase from JP, where it was only 900 times. Um, and I think in a Light of Ruin in JP, that was only a 3,000 with a cost reduction. In For us, it's 3,500 with the cost reduction.
Yeah.
So I think generally speaking, the changes that we're getting are a whole lot better than what JP got. The one thing to point out that I really like is they kept the Bahamut damage
Yeah, which is something
especially.
that I'm about to get to. Moving on, we've got a couple more left. Sorcery Dampener at
Mhm.
+2 boosts magic damage reduction to 35% for 3 turns, and boosts evocation gauge increase from 2 to 4 to 4 to 5, which I really like that evocation gauge increase, especially since she's going to be using that evocation gauge for things other than evoking. But that 35 magic damage reduction for 3 turns sounds nice.
Definitely nice thing to have in her kit.
And then moving on to what you had said earlier with the Esper's knowledge, she boosts increased parameters when setting an Esper to 60%, but she also boosts increased evocation damage for Bahamut to 150%. So if you want to deal good damage, give her Bahamut. That's a lot of damage.
and and just pray for a early Bahamut 3-star,
Oh yeah,
because, and also to point out the increased parameters for setting an Esper, that was only 20% in JP.
holy
So for us, that is an increase of about 40%, which is huge. Because
is
something that I like jokingly did with my units was that I put Titus's STMR on them, mainly for the high tide. But like, you could legitimately give her the Titus STMR as like a strategy. So
and is the Bahamut evocation damage increase the same?
that, oh yeah, that was the same.
Okay. Double evocation boosts number of times specific abilities can be used in one turn to 3, and the ability name changes.
It basically just becomes triple evocation, and Holy Mind can be used, which basically means you have about pretty much every turn you can get a 14 times 3 light magic hits. So that's about what,
A lot of damage.
32? 32 hits?
Yeah.
Yeah, 32 hits.
And then we've got Folka as well. Blue Mirage at +2 will boost water damage increase to 300% instead of reduces LB damage consumed to 300.
Reduces only gauge consumed.
Yeah, consumed, sorry.
Oh, okay. So this is Blue Mirage. Ah, okay. So Blue Mirage is one of her buff abilities. So in this one is pretty much the same.
Okay.
Um, it's the main draw is that it uses 3 LB crysts instead of 5, or yeah, I think it's
Okay.
5.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
Um,
3, from 5 to 3.
Original Priestess of the Water at +2 will boost spirit increase to 100%, which is a lot of spirit.
Yep.
Anti-disease boosts chance of activation to 40%, which is really good. Flowing
Mm-hmm.
Waters at +1 reduces MP consumed to 58, and at +2 activates a 2000 HP barrier for all allies for 5 turns. Always like those barriers. I like that. Sobering Waters +1 reduces MP consumed to 58, and at +2 gradually restores HP for all allies for 5 turns. HP restoration per turn is about 1300. Gradually restores MP for all allies for 5 turns, which is about 30 per turn. That could change. I'm not 100% certain, based on like your modifiers and all that. Or yeah, Serpent Guard
Mm-hmm.
at +2 will boost physical damage reduction to 30%, which is good. I like that. Cerulean Shell
Very good.
at +2 boosts magic damage reduction to 30%, and Ancient Aquarium at +2 will reduce damage reduction to 40% and reduces the cooldown to 1 use every 4 turns. All in all these units are very powerful. Looks like quite a bit was changed, which means I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually looking forward to seeing how Ignacio, Segard, and Sid end up looking, especially Sid and Segard, because I have enough Sids that I can go into a dual Sid run. So looking forward to that. It's going to be expensive, but looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
And Segard,
Yeah, just getting in. Yeah, well, Seaguard's already like an amazing. And looking at the way they've changed Reagan, Citra, and Fuka, it seems like they're taking what they already got in JP, buffing it, and then adding some extra stuff. Like even to Folka, those last three enhancements were global original. So there's a lot that they could do for Ignacio, Sieg, and Sid. One of the things that I'm expecting, at least for Sid, is probably more jump damage, or at least increases to make his rotation not as cooldown skill dependent, is what I'll say. Um, that's what I'm thinking, because the one reason that people tended to not use Sid was because he was kind of a one hit wonder, or he was built for his LB. And because you would use his jump, then he would LB, then you would wait for his cooldown to come up, then you would rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
So he was kind of a little boring. He didn't really have much variation on his skills, and really it was just like you replaced him because there were other units that were just like kind of less required less thought to use. Sieg is just a great tank all around already. So whatever he gets, I expect it to be probably mitigation related.
Yeah. And
Because
then
that's really how you deal with tanks nowadays.
yeah. And moving on, something that we got similar to the heroes, we are getting the guaranteed 10+1 to get Sworn 6 again. This will allow you to summon these if you need them. They will be helpful. It'll be helpful to get them if you need them. I, for one, wouldn't mind it because I need one more Say card. I don't have any Citras. I need one more Folka. I think I need, for Ignacio, I just need a third. Reagan, I need a third or fourth. I'd like the Super Team R's. It would be nice. For Sid, I guess a seventh and eighth would not be terrible.
Jesus, dude.
I Yeah, I got a lot of Sids. I also got a lot of Jakes. I've got 6 Jakes. I could do 2 Jake runs too if he was better.
From what I remember, the changes they gave to him in global too.
He's a very good LB finisher. Not the best, but he's very good. I can get him. Um, if I remember correctly, I think my build that I have for him can reach to like 9 million damage, LB damage.
Yeah.
Actually, I could probably run it on the builder real quick on my phone. Give me a moment. Testing. uh, but we can go ahead and move on real quick to news story. I believe. Oh, this is chapter 9, part 2. Which means next month, if we're still getting these once a month, we should be getting chapter 10, part 1, which is the last part in the story in season 2.
Yeah. So chapter 10, parts 1 and 2, I believe.
Nope, just chapter 10, part 1.
Oh, so just chapter 10, part 1, and that'll be it.
Yep.
All right. So
If
y'all are heading toward the end.
Yeah,
Very,
this
very nice.
is. I believe this will be the final battle, and then chapter 10, part 1 will. Or, yeah, part 1 will be like the whole finishing off the season type deal. So expect resolution to happen by the end of this chapter. I, for one, haven't done part 1 yet, so I don't know much, so no spoilers, please. Um, but I am looking forward to doing that tomorrow when this part comes out, so I can do both parts with what we'll talk about in just a second, half energy. Hallelujah.
Yep. Great time to do a whole lot of stuff with a story. That means you get for anyone that has an absolutely ridiculous vault key quest. Can also do that.
Yeah.
But hey, half energy for story, half energy for trials. Maybe it's a
And
good time to catch up.
in addition to this new story, we also have Kokuryu. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Don't bash me. Canby
Uh,
has 2-star. I believe this is Black Dragon. No, maybe. I don't know.
Black Dragon Kukuryu.
Okay. So, big bad dragon guy, Esper thing. Get him. Like every other Esper that I don't have. Get him.
Do it.
So as we talked about, half energy for all Season 1 and Season 2 story quests during the campaign period. This will go on from Friday 8:30, so I guess I won't be doing it tomorrow. And that will run through until Monday, October 7th. So we've got about a month and a week, I think.
Until October, right?
Yeah, October 7th. So I think
Yeah.
that's 5 weeks.
So pretty much that's literally The entirety of September.
Yeah. And in addition to that, we also have half energy for Chamber of Fallen, Indignant, and Arms. That will run from tomorrow, Thursday, or today. I think today because that's when this video will come out until September 5th. So that's only a weekish. Thursday, yeah, a week. So if you've got any trials you need to do it during this week. Or be like me and just don't do them. uh, but yeah, half energy.
Yep. Do it up.
And while we talked about that, my builder just finished. It's actually 19 million damage without any buffs or debuffs or any imbues at all, or imperils. This is literally just all of his enhancements, door pots fully potted out, all of my best gear that I've got for him. 19 million. I mean, pick an element. What element am I gonna do?
Uh, Fire.
Fire.
Why not?
That's actually an easy element I can do for him. But I can give him 180 full stat buff with my uh, Endless Hope, I believe his name is. You guys laughed at him, you made fun of him, but he's got a cooldown that gives 180% full buff. Don't doubt the hope.
I doubt the hope.
Yeah, you can doubt the hope.
Hehehe.
But I can also debuff by 84% because I have King Edgar, which is another person that people laughed at. Don't laugh at units. Read what they do. Let's say I use Reagan. That's 110% fire imperil. We won't count his damage in this case, and let's imbue fire damage. All of that increases his LB damage to 170 million with the same build. Jake can do some damage. He's not the best, but he can do some damage. But that's enough of that. Let's continue on with the news. Real quick, like we talked about last week, one of the things that we got from the voting, the 7% Rainbow Free Weekly 10+1. Like I said last week, yes, this is unfortunate because we didn't get the free daily lapis, but this is still a very good reward that we're getting for free. 7% Rainbow is not bad. It's 4% more than we're used to, and 2% more than
Ish.
the whole anniversary thing. Yes, there is still the chance that we won't get anything, but that 7% chance is still something. We've got 4 summon periods. We can do this once a week for 4 weeks, starting on Monday, September 2nd, second one on the 9th of September, third one on the 16th of September, and the fourth one on the 23rd. Now you have the full week to do this summon, but I would recommend getting it out of the way at reset for all those 4 starting dates, just so it's out of the way, you know where you're going to get going.
Yeah, don't want to forget by accident because you wanted to hold off.
Exactly. And then, of course, we are all going to celebrate 40 million downloads. This is going to be very similar to 30 million. We're going to be getting some exclusive tickets and apparently unique equipment. We are going to have a step of summon. Not too sure how this is going to work. We will have to see how it works when it gets implemented on the 30th of August. So this upcoming Friday. The summoning period will be from the 30th of August to the 26th of September. There will be a guaranteed 5-star step-up summon, which the steps have different pools based off of the time periods that units were released in. So the units that you can get from each step depend on this list here. The summon period is the same as before. And then we also have a 4 rainbow guaranteed summon. This is similar to the 5,000 one we've gotten before, but it costs 9,000 now. We get 4 rainbows instead of 1, and instead of the cactars, we get a diamond key, and we get a full 100% Moogle instead of 5-10%. Honestly, this looks really good. If you're willing to put 9,000 lapis down, you get 4 free rainbows, you get a diamond enlightenment key, and 100% trust Moogle. This is really
I
good.
think it's worth it. That's pretty much worth it. I don't see a reason why that's not worth it. unless you really don't want to deal with the enlightenment stuff, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to deal with that because some of them are really
I mean,
good.
that damage that came
So
from Jake is a good portion of it's
yeah,
coming from his latent abilities. And then finally, just a little bit more information on the tickets. We will be getting both the step up tickets and also the 5-star guaranteed step up summon ticket. This list you can go ahead and look them down. It's going to be a lot if we want to go through them. But it looks like we're getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We're getting 20 regular step up summon tickets and 4 5-star guaranteed step up summon tickets. So log in every day, get those rewards. They're basically free stuff. Get them, use them when you can. And once again, just like they said in the video, congratulations, we made it. We hit the 40 million downloads. Uh, we are giving Square Enix their money. We're giving Gumi their money, and pretty sure we are still the highest downloaded mobile game from Square Enix. So
probably.
Square Enix is very happy with this game. They are probably making sure Gumi doesn't make too many mistakes. Yes, Gumi has been making a lot of mistakes, but remember, this is Square Enix that has a good hold on Gumi. They are really proud of the progress that this game has been making, so don't expect it to go too far under. I'm 100% certain Square Enix will make sure this stays going. I could be wrong.
Well, they probably are.
Uh, but that is a lot of the news that we have talked about. There's a few things we just didn't mention because not exactly newsworthy. Ginsu, do you have any closing remarks?
The biggest thing I would say is this is a good week for y'all. You know, it's a good week. You get the first week of these rainbow summons. Even if I think it was not the best choice in that list, it is still good. Like you said, the units on the banner are really good. I really think that a lot of people have been saving their lapis and resources and tickets and stuff for this banner because of just how strong we already knew CG Barks to be. Generally speaking, I think that if you really look and really like want these units, you'll be able to get them. And if you get them, you're gonna be set for a good long while. The event work itself, not the hardest thing again is as usual is the series boss battle. I don't really expect a lot of people to have that much trouble with Blotted Viper. The ability awakenings, they are, in my opinion, so far, blowing my mind just by how different they are,
Oh yeah,
but in a great way. The fact that you guys are finally getting another half G event for a month, in fact, you know, so for the entirety of a month, and then you get that, and then even if it's only for a week, half energy cost for trial, where with unit enhancements like these, I think a lot of people will be sweeping up a whole lot of trials after this. My main thing is that I think a lot of people can really use Reagan as one of their main damage dealers now,
yeah, it looks that way.
and not really have to worry. Then again, I mean, like I thought Maxwell was garbage, and then I just watched Meet Me on Mars kill Gilgamesh, Lich, and Ultros with Aloha Laswell as his main PS.
Yeah, don't
So
sleep on
you know
Aloha
what?
Lastwell. He ended up
So
being really powerful.
yeah, so you know what? Sure, let's just roll with it, right?
Yeah, and
I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
yeah,
The Umbrella Man comes back?
and before I close this out, I also wanted to mention real quick, only permanent units added to the game from January 1st, 2019 to August 30th, 2019 will be included in the summon pool for the 4 Rainbows guaranteed summon, which means permanent units added to the game from the 1st of January to the 30th of August, Bards and Lena gets added on the 30th, which means if their wording is correct here, Bards and Lena will be included in this 4 rainbows guaranteed summon. And the
Yes,
pool
most
is
likely.
quite small, actually. But that is all we've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Uh, if you'd like to leave a like, go right ahead. This has been 13 Ganas. Go ahead and subscribe. Join our Discord channel. That will be linked down in the description below. Ginsu has a Twitch if you'd like to say something about that, Ginsu.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Gensakai. I've mostly been playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, breaking addiction. Though I will probably, once I get it, this Friday, be switching off between Fire Emblem and the new Astral Chain because it looks supremely amazing.
Astral Chain looks very
Uh,
good, and I
it looks,
I hope it's
yeah.
just as good as it looks.
Oh my God, I pre-ordered it. Like if it isn't, then I'll just be sad. But I generally believe that there's not a lot to talk. It's one of those good weeks where it's like not really a lot to talk about, but there was still enough to talk about where it was a big deal.
Yeah,
And there's just a lot of good stuff happening.
definitely.
I really think that people should be happy about what they're getting this week. I mean, I don't really play. I'm just here to give my opinion on, but I think y'all got a good set this.
Yeah. So if you want to just join the
Mm,
Discord, again, links down in the description. If you want to watch Ginsu, I will also link his Twitch channel down in the description. We didn't have Rusty this time around. I tried to message him. I didn't get anything back from him, but hopefully he will
yeah,
be back
seems like
next
he's
week.
busy.
I'm sure he's fine.
Mm,
Just
maybe
probably
even
busy.
Friday.
Yeah, no, maybe he'll be here Friday. Uh, but until next time, you guys have a fantastic week. Have good luck with those rainbow summons. Best luck to you all. Until then,
Arrivederci.
have a good. I forgot my outro. Rip. See you guys.
Nice.